Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of the Women's Maximum Fitness Podcast. I'm super excited to have IFBB Pro and two-time Olympian Rhea Gayle with me today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'm so excited.
I'm so glad it worked out, especially with you being you're in Florida right now.
Yes. Yeah.
So we didn't have time zones to have to try to navigate.
Yeah.
So great. So you're there until Wednesday, so I just really appreciate you.
Yeah.
The time.
No worries at all. No worries at all.
So tell me a little bit, I'm just curious, how long have you been here? Is this your first time in the States? Well, you had the Olympia, of course.
Yeah. So I done like my first kind of run of pro shows in the States back in 2019. And that's when I sort of started spending a longer chunk of time over here. And then as of recently, like post Olympia, because of everything going on in the UK, we decided to kind of stay here and then do a show here before I head back.
Okay. So
yeah.
Are you guys still locked down over there?
So there's still some restrictions, especially with travel. But I think as of July 19th, they're just lifting everything, which will be so much better.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I know you guys had another lockdown after everything opened up, didn't you?
Yeah, there was like one in November, and then there was like another one in January. So it's all just been very much like up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah. Were you able to train during those times?
So luckily I was able to get access to a facility to train. But before that, because obviously I went to Australia for the Arnold's, which then got cancelled, and then I was in lockdown over there, so I didn't really have anywhere to train over there. So it's been so like up in the air. But when I managed to get back to the UK, I finally had somewhere to train, which was great.
Yeah, I remember watching that story on your Instagram. That was madness.
It was crazy.
Oh my goodness. Well, I want to start at the beginning, but I just am so like, I really want to dive into so like the show you did 2 weeks ago. Which was that? Puerto Rico?
That was so I done the Europa last week.
What was it?
The Europa, the Orlando Europa. Right. Yeah.
Okay. Yes. And and Jessica nosed you out by
Yeah.
So I have to ask you, is it does it feel good to have placed second, or does it suck to have placed second?
I was incredibly grateful with second. Like coming second to someone like Jess, I was absolutely like mind blown. And like we kind of went into that show with no expectations. So kind of once we sort of got first call out, it was a little bit like, okay. And then, being in contention in the top 3, it was kind of like, okay. So yeah, I'm super happy with that, like placing. I couldn't be happier.
Perfect. That's awesome. I know. And that was the first time I think that I really noticed that. I was saying to you before we got started, I was like, oh, she's not tall at all. Like,
oh yeah.
When you see the lineup, then you get a better idea. It's so funny because Instagram, when you see, like, you just have no idea actually what size somebody is.
Yeah.
It's so funny. All right. So normally how I start the podcast is with a little bit of background, and I'm really curious. Well, first of all, did you grow up, have you spent your whole life in the UK? Did you grow up there? And then what was your athletic background, sports that you played as a kid, and then what got you into bodybuilding?
Okay, so yeah, I am born and bred from the UK, from London. And I started gymnastics at a very young age. I think it was like 3.5, 4.
Yeah.
And I done gymnastics until I was around 13. And then I kind of had a little bit of a break. And then I got into diving at 16, which is very late to get into a sport like diving, but I'd done diving up until I was 23.
Okay.
And then I had to sort of kind of step away from diving due to sort of mental health reasonings. And I kind of was like, I felt really lost afterwards, because I was kind of like, I've only ever known sport. I was like, I don't really know what to do. So I just started training. And there was a girl at my gym that competed, and she was like, have you ever thought about it? And I was like, I would love to one day. Like, my dad used to be a bodybuilder way back when. So I was like, I'd love to try one day. And then I was like, do you know what? If I love training so much, why not give myself something to work towards? And there's no pressure, because if I get to the stage, I do. If I don't, then I keep on working.
Yeah.
So it was kind of like I was on a journey myself, especially mentally. So, and then I ended up competing in the July, and I was like, oh my God, I actually really like this. Like, this is so much fun. So yeah, ever since then, that was in 2016 when I started.
That's
so
awesome.
Yeah.
So you totally found a home. You know, that's very, it's very common, especially around like the college age years, for you to have sort of a life, like, what do I do now? I was doing team sports and that type of thing. Yeah. Nice. So, so you started did you start with figure right off in figure?
Yes, I went straight into figure, because I was like, I didn't really know like where I would fit, and I was like, do you know what, let's just kind of jump into this. I had no clue about anything. Hence, if you look back at my photos when I started in that green bikini, the hair, just everything was just not okay. But I had no idea. I was like, I'm literally just doing this as I know that if I put my mind to something, I can achieve something. So it was just like, let's just get on stage and see what happens.
So you had somebody that was kind of mentoring you. Did you have a coach and everything at the beginning as well?
Yeah, so I just had like when there's someone at the gym that's like, yeah, I prep people. I was like, okay, right, you get people ready for stage. Perfect. I'm trying to get to the stage. Let's do this. Yeah.
I think you just posted just a little bit ago your very first from stage until now. It was quite the transformation. So what was your first weight when you stepped on stage? Do you remember about what you were?
Oh, I have no idea. I literally have no clue. I have no idea. No.
Okay. What about most recently? What's the weight about that you've been on stage? Do you know?
So as of like Olympia weight, I was around 57, 58 kilos.
Okay. Oh, I got math.
Yeah. So when everyone's like saying, what's your weight in pounds? I'm like, I have no idea. I work in kilos.
That times 2.2, people. Get out your calculator.
Yeah. You do the math.
That's right. So and you're 5'2". So yeah. It's so funny. Like I said, you've got really long legs. I just thought you were taller, but
yeah, I've got long legs and a little squished torso.
But you're doing so good. So for you, whatever.
Thank you.
So I was looking at pictures. I feel like you've put on a good amount of size over the last 2 years, probably. What would you let's talk about the evolution of training a little bit. So what were you doing at the beginning? Do you remember?
At the beginning, let's not.
We want to hear. We want to know the mistakes.
So at the beginning, like back in 2016, it was kind of just like a free for all of, okay, I must train like this, and like just random workouts that I'd find on like the internet. It was just so like, just there. And then when I got like a new coach after that, we then sort of had a training plan, like a proper structure. And then back in 2019, when I joined Trained by JP and being coached by Corin, like the training principles we used then was just everything kind of just clicked. And that's where from the end of 2019 to now is kind of when I've really felt that evolution, which has been, I'm so grateful, so grateful.
Yeah. So for people who don't know, Corinne, she's one of the queen of
oh my goodness
training. I would put her and Michaela Aycock on a couple of pedestals. Just like, if you want to know how to train, you got to follow these people.
Right.
Yeah. What were some of the things that you were doing that you, and I'm sure that it's a constant evaluation, but were there exercises that you decided weren't working for you that, I mean, maybe are pretty common to people, or, you know, anything like that might, you know, did you notice anything like that?
Like yes and no. Like my exercise selection has kind of varied to what kind of suits my body well, especially with like the niggles that I have. So if there's a movement that's painful, right, let's switch out and do something else. There's no point in training in pain. But it's more so been like the training principles of like the 2 sets, heavy set, back off set, the rep ranges, everything like that has been sort of the main, yeah. just everything.
Has it been sort of like, I feel like one of the things that has changed over the years with my training too is learning to leave the gym like before you're like you're exhausted, you know what I mean? Like you would just train till you were like so tired and then go, and where it's like you put in your work, you leave it and you go because you start over again the next day. Yeah, learning how to that intensity. And
yeah, intensity is super important, because when I sort of think back to like when I first started and how I train, I'd kind of be like, this is but now it's literally like going into the gym and just leaving everything I have in every session. Like not every session is going to be fantastic hitting PBs, but as long as I'm keeping that intensity up and putting everything into that session, then intensity makes the biggest difference.
Yeah. And I think that's one of the hugest things, because you end up doing a bunch of junk volume trying to make up for something you could have just hit one time previous.
Yeah.
How'd you get hooked up with Corinne? Do you are you guys close, everybody with the Train by JP website, or how does that work?
So I'm one of the sponsored athletes. So I have my log on the subscription site, and that was when I started in end of 2019. And then I was coached by Corinne from then as well.
Okay. All right. Do you get to train with them or see them?
So I haven't actually, just with like how everything has been working out. But one day I would absolutely love to train with them.
Yeah.
Like it would be absolutely insane, because even sort of before I was coached by them and, you know, on the team, the way that they train and everything, I've always looked up to it. So
yeah,
incredible.
So you're one of the coaches as well. So you coach people. Is that your?
So I coach, and I more so do posing.
Okay.
More so posing, yeah.
Nice. Nice. So yeah, so what's next? So what do you got planned?
What have I got planned? So I'm now 8 days out.
Okay.
Again, so I'm going to go over to Portugal on Wednesday.
Okay.
And compete on Sunday. So super excited.
Yeah.
Super excited.
I was looking at the points, and I guess I didn't realize, I don't know if other people know this as well. So I thought you had to, as far as points go, had to get to a certain number of points, but it's the top 3.
Yeah.
Most points. Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
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 but you're not going to have to do that because you're going to win Portugal.
You've put it out there now. You've put it out into the universe. I'm like, oh.
You got to speak it into existence.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. But I'm super excited. It's always been a show that's been on like my bucket list to do. And it was like the Europa as well. That's always been on my bucket list. So I'm excited.
Yeah. There's so many. Well, it's been tough following the shows because the names don't match the locations a lot right now. It's been so crazy. You're like, oh.
Puerto Rico Pro in the Bahamas. Chicago Pro in Atlanta.
No, right? It was like, I don't know what's going on. Because I kept thinking, oh, I could go see Chicago. Like, oh no, I'm not driving to Georgia. I don't know. It's been crazy. The only thing you can count on is that Tampa's in Tampa.
Yeah. I do think it's absolutely phenomenal how the Pro League have still managed to like get us on stage, even in the midst of the pandemic last year. It's just been absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible.
You know, and the athletes haven't missed a beat either because the have been stacked.
Right? Like, I turned up to Orlando and I was like, wait a minute. Like, it was insane.
Yeah.
And, like, everyone just looks so incredible.
Yeah.
So incredible.
Yeah. There's a handful of people that I'm really rooting to see on the Olympia stage this year. Figure is, you have your work cut out for you for sure. Yeah. But to be in that group.
Yeah. It's insane. It's absolutely insane. And like, just mind-blowing. Mind-blowing.
Did you think that you never could have expected that you were going to, like, if someone had said to you, hey, you're going to be an Olympian? No, I'd be like, oh, stop it. Stop. But yeah, I couldn't have imagined that I'd kind of be where I am today, and I'm just so grateful for like this whole journey, and it just makes me super excited for the future. Yeah, absolutely. How old are you?
I turned 28 in June.
So you have a lot of time. You have a lot of time. Yeah.
Super excited.
So, hey, let's talk a little bit about training because I know that's kind of like your jam. So the intensity for sure. I don't think people always understand too that. Can you explain a little bit about, doing a top set and a back off set? Do you do that for every one of your exercises, or what does, I don't know, what's your favorite thing to train, and what does let's talk about what a session looks like.
Okay, so my favorite probably is between back and legs, because legs is something that I've got to constantly improve on, because that's sort of been my feedback. So whenever it's a leg session, I'm like, right, let's do this. So probably one of my favorite movements is a stiff leg deadlift. And like more so sort of the earlier stages of prep, we'll sort of look at doing 2 sets. Your first set is going to be sort of all in heavy, 7 to 8 reps, and then your back off set is going to sort of be reducing the load. But a lot of people think a back off means easier. The intensity stays the same. The rep range is just a little bit higher. So you're going for a failure in 2 different rep ranges, basically. Yes. Do you do that for every exercise, or is it mainly for your compounds or your first few exercises? So normally in a typical session, as I said, sort of further away from a show, that would be sort of my main structure. Unless it's something like when I stick abs at the end of a session, that'll be like 8 to 12, 3 sets. But more so my main bulk of my session, that's what I'll be looking at. So when you get a little bit closer to a show, you're going to kind of back off that intensity just to make sure that you don't have an injury? Yeah, keep everything nice and fresh, and kind of look at more so fine-tuning things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think that's important too.
Yeah.
So what kind of, have you experienced any injuries or just minor?
So a lot of my injuries are sort of wear and tear from my diving days and gymnastics days. So my knees, so on some days I feel like a 90-year-old lady, like where like going downstairs I'm a bit like, oh my gosh. And like shoulders as well. Sometimes they can be super sore, but making sure I'm on top of my body work, it doesn't affect me too much. And if it comes to it and there's a exercise that is niggling it a little bit, we'll just switch it out. But in bodybuilding, fingers crossed, touch wood, I haven't had anything serious. But diving and gymnastics, oh my goodness. So most of my niggles are kind of from way back when.
Yeah. I don't know if you've ever spoken to any of the fitness competitors, but they run into a lot of that with their just bouncing around and everything.
Yeah. Interesting fact, I actually got my pro card in fitness.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Was there a diving board involved? No.
Could you imagine? This is my prop. Someone got me a paddling pool and a springboard.
Missy Truscott will be like, maybe that's not a bad idea.
Yeah. She is phenomenal. Oh my goodness.
She should I feel like if she retires, she should be a stunt woman. Like she
right?
Yeah.
Insane.
Yeah, it is pretty nuts. So you got your pro card in. So let's back up a second. So yeah, let's talk about how this so 2016 you got your that's when you started.
That's when I started, yeah.
Okay, so let's move on from that. Let's talk about that journey.
So 2016, that is when I started. And then in 2018, in the June of 2018, I done an amateur Olympia in Spain. Okay. And it was in the amateur Olympias, you can do crossovers. And I must have been about like 3 weeks out. And my coach was like, they're doing crossovers. You used to do gymnastics, right? I was like, yeah. He was like, what about fitness? I was like, yeah, let's just throw something together. And then I done figure and I done fitness. And then I ended up getting my pro card in fitness. And then a couple of hours later, I done my pro debut in figure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. That's crazy. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, so that was in 2018. And then you did go to the Olympia that year, didn't you?
I went to the Olympia in 2019.
2019.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How did that what was that like the first time?
Oh my goodness. It was, it was insane. Like I was so like, and because it was Vegas as well, it was a bit like, oh my goodness. It was unbelievable. Absolutely unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, a dream come true, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, and then you competed again in 2020.
Mm-hmm.
And you were at the Olympia again. How did your placings go?
So in 2019, I came 13th.
Yeah.
And then in 2020, I came 9th.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm still like, did I like, why?
You're like,
it still doesn't feel real.
Top 10 in the world.
Yeah. It still just doesn't feel real.
When you got started, did you start following some of the other figure pros, and who were you kind of looking, like who were you chasing, you know?
So when I first started, it was in that year, and I first saw the Arnolds. So obviously you've got Candice, Latoya, and Sid, and I was like, oh my goodness, these girls are insane. And then like even people like Bojana and Ivana, I was like following from like the beginning of my journey. So even now and getting to compete with these ladies is still so mind blowing to me, because way back when in 2016, it was just like, like you're now standing on stage with people that you looked up to, and I'm literally like, oh my god, is this in real life? So yeah,
it's cool to see like how, you know, how humble you are about it too, because I always feel like that too, like when I see, you know, I've been to the Arnold and stuff too, and when you see some of the pros, you're just like,
yeah,
oh, that's Kevin Levrone, like, whoa.
yeah.
You
Like,
know,
oh my god, yeah.
I know. You're like, why aren't they getting mobbed right now? You know, like, oh, the bodybuilding world is small. Oh, that's really great. So who are some of the other, do you follow like the men's bodybuilding and stuff as well?
Yeah.
Well, it's like, I feel like it happened pretty quickly for you to get thrown into this elite level. So hard work, genetics, right?
It's been absolutely incredible. I still like, I'm so grateful for it, and still sort of working really hard to improve and give back. So
yeah, I would really encourage people to check out you on the Trained by JP website to get a little bit better look at what training is supposed to look like, and how you've been able to put on just a ton of size in the last, like, just really filled out in the last 2 years.
Yeah. It's literally been like, as it's been happening, I've been like, oh, when I look at myself, I'm like, I don't know if I see it. And then when you kind of like really reflect and just put things side by side, it's like, oh, yeah.
It's working.
Yeah, for sure.
So what is the hardest part for you with all of this? Do you have a good food relationship? Is dieting easy for you?
Yeah, so I think I've never really had like a super emotional attachment with food. If anything, sort of prior to competing, my nutrition was like all over the place. So this is really like, when I literally say to people, I'm learning so much about myself through this bodybuilding journey. Like, I am learning so much about myself through this bodybuilding journey. But sort of, I think for me, the hardest part can sometimes be mentally, when I have my doubtful days. It's not just like a little bit. It's like I feel like I'm not good enough for this sometimes, and I'm again learning to kind of switch my mindset and be like, Rhea, you've done like have a little bit more self-belief. But I think for me, that's the hardest bit, is the self-doubt and the pressure I kind of put on myself.
I feel like you run into kind of two types of athletes, and some are, you know, it's never good enough and constantly looking at what's needs to be improved, and you know, then you get some that are, you know, almost too confident. So knowing that this is bodybuilding and it's never finished, I think that your mind is in the right spot. But it's hard to be like you're good right now too as well, and just kind of be in the moment, I guess.
And that's definitely something that I'm sort of working on, of being like this is the now, like take it in, because it's not going to come around again. Like, you then move on to the next thing. So it's definitely, as soon as I kind of feel myself shifting like that, I recognize it, and I'm like, okay, like this is just a temporary feeling, on to the next.
I think I remember listening to Fuad's podcast, and he was talking, I don't remember who he was talking with. I mean, he was saying how people that have a lot of drive, I think those are the type of people that get into bodybuilding, and it is hard for I'm going to say us to enjoy the moment, because we're always thinking about what we can do next. And I think that's true. Like, you can get really caught up in what's there rather than what's here.
Definitely.
So Did you have were you able to have any type of cheat meals, or weren't you looking at that after this last?
So after the show, we had a meal. Went to a steakhouse. I think it was Outback Steakhouse. Yeah, went there. I've never been there before, so I was like, boom, we'll have some food there. And there was some other girls from the UK that competed in this show, so it was kind of nice to catch up with them as well. And then next will be some Portuguese food next week.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that with everything being in different countries. Now you can experience different countries as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, well, that's really great. So is there anything that you would like to, what have you learned from all this that you would really like women who are listening to understand?
Probably the whole idea around sort of self-doubt and like just knowing that where you are now is enough.
Yeah.
And don't compare yourself to somebody else that you see, especially on social media. Like, you're on your own journey. Yeah. Whether you're going to the stage, whether you're just starting out, like, this is your own journey, and try not to compare yourself to other people, because then that can be another trigger of feeling like, oh, they're doing this, they're doing this, they're doing this. So again, relating back to being present and now, like, this is your journey. So no more fear, no more doubt. Yeah.
Bam.
Boom.
That's really good. Social media is super tough. So let me ask you, what's your favorite thing about social media, and what's your least favorite thing about social media?
My favorite thing about social media is connecting with so many people, like, especially in the bodybuilding world. Like, there's so many people that I meet and then get to meet them on like backstage, and it's like you feel like you've known them forever, but you're actually just meeting for the first time, and I absolutely love that. And I think probably the one thing I dislike about it is the negativity that can sometimes surround it, and then you find your feed saturated with negativity, and then you're kind of, you soak in that energy. So that's probably one thing that when I kind of feel like it's going that way, I just put it down for a while and focus on me.
I think that's it. It's really funny because I feel like sometimes, you get troll comments and whatnot, and I think people think, oh, that person is really confident. She's been confident her whole life and she can take it. And it's such a strange thing I think it's such a strange perspective. Like, we've all had things we've overcome. Like, I don't think anybody's had a super easy life.
Right.
So, and it always, I've said this before, it always makes me aware of people like, oh, there's a lot of hurting people out there. That's like kind of, it's sad. But the connection is so awesome.
Right. Yeah, it's super cool. Super cool.
All right. I was going to ask you about the pandemic a little bit. You were able to train, but were you guys, I don't know, were you guys more shut down for a longer period? Like, I was thinking that you guys had it a little bit more rough. I know you did shut down again, but I mean, were you able to go about life for the most part, or was it like home?
Yeah, it was very, very difficult, especially in the UK, because it was like the government was constantly like changing their mind. So when I got back from Australia, there was like no gyms, nothing. But I had access to train somewhere. And then gyms opened again in the July, I believe.
Yeah.
And then I think they closed again for like 2 or 3 weeks, and then they opened again. And then just before the like prep for the Olympia, he then said that there was going to be another lockdown, and that's when I was like, right, I'm just gonna leave. I'm just gonna go now. I'll see you later.
That's really funny. You're like, peace out, bro. I'm out.
Yeah, literally. So I sort of left for the journey for the Olympia at like the beginning of November.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, oh, that's great. Where did you stay? Did you just?
I went to Mexico to start with because, again, like I don't know when it's actually going to change, but you can't directly fly from like the UK or anywhere like that straight to the States. You have to quarantine somewhere for 2 weeks.
Okay. Oh, wow. Well, so what happens after this next show? Are you headed are you headed back? What are you doing?
Yeah, so I'm what are you doing? So I'm actually going to finally go home. I'm finally going to go home because July 19th is meant to be the Freedom Day in the UK where all the restrictions are lifted.
Okay.
So that'll be the day after my show. So hopefully when I get home, it's like, oh, lockdown is over. Yay.
Great to be home.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Oh my gosh. That was a really great impression of me. Do you do any others or? Oh my word. You're so funny. So who's taking care of your puppy?
So Puppy is here with Zach.
Oh.
So Zach obviously lives here. So Marvel will be here and he'll be fine. But I will miss them both so much.
Oh.
But then hopefully I'll be back. So yeah.
Oh, okay. All right.
Lots of FaceTimes.
So what do you do for like, oh, I was going to ask you, like during a regular training, not so close to prep, how many off days what's your training split kind of looking like?
So my training split is 3 days on, 1 day off, 2 days on, 1 day off.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
You, excuse me. And you do a lot with, like you're doing a lot of deep tissue, that type of stuff for recovery.
Yeah, for sure. Because there can be some like after training, sometimes I'm literally like, oh my God. Like I feel like I've been hit by a bus. So it's just super important to keep on top of body work.
Yeah. I don't know a ton about other sports and if they are as hard on the body as bodybuilding is, or if it's just different, I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I just know that like the older I get too, it's like I'm like, God, I'm constantly foam rolling, the lacrosse ball, the chiropractor, the massage. Yeah. But I mean, if you did something else, you probably, like if you had continued with gymnastics, you would have had more probably joint issues and that type of stuff too.
Right. Yeah.
Everything has its all a trade-off. All right. So let's see, what else do we got? Oh, I know I was gonna ask you. I wanted to ask you this. Did you know Luke at all?
So I would often see Luke when I'd go to Muscle Works, the one in Orpington. And obviously he'd be training with Ben, and then sometimes he'd come to King's to see James. So especially in the UK, like the bodybuilding scene is very like close knit and everyone knows everyone. So yeah, I did bump into him a few times.
Yeah, I was
He was a lovely, lovely guy.
Yeah, I met him one time at the Arnold, and he was so great at making everyone feel like they knew him. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I just thought I wanted to ask about that. So, okay. Well, is there anything else that you want to share or plug? Otherwise, we're going to go into 10 questions and then I will let you go. So go ahead, whatever else you want to talk about.
I feel like you kind of like nailed everything. Absolutely.
Rhea, where can people find you, first of all?
So on Instagram, it's Rhea GPT.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, if like I can't even speak. Rewind. Start again.
You're doing
On Instagram.
I mean, you're like 7 days. How many days out is it? How many days?
8.
8
8,
days.
yeah. 8 today, yeah.
Yeah. So
so you can find me on Instagram at Rhea GPT. And I also offer posing sessions as well. So that's sort of like my main coaching aspects that I focus on is posing.
Yeah. And they can find you on the Train by JP website as well.
They can indeed. You can sign up to that site. There's, forums that you can ask questions in. You can follow our logs on there as well, which is absolutely awesome. So yeah, I'd get signed up if you're not already.
Perfect. All right, so let's do 10 questions. All right, so
okay.
What is your what's your music style that you like to listen to?
Oh my God, don't judge me. I am like across the board. Like I can get my deadlift PBs to listening to something like Disney. Like music is just everything, anything and everything. I will have it in my playlist.
Are you musical at all? Like, do you play any instruments or sing or anything?
So I used to play the flute, guitar, and piano. Yeah.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
Oh wow! Well, you should put some of that on your story.
Oh God. Music times with Rhea.
That would be so great. That would be really cool. So I'm thinking a diving board and a flute for the fitness competition.
Yeah.
Whole new level going on.
Yeah.
All right. Let's see. Where are you in the birth order with your siblings?
I'm middle child.
Okay.
I am the middle child.
Interesting. I don't know if I've had any. I feel like it's always either oldest or youngest. Yeah. But you seem like you have the you do have the middle child personality, very, very sprightly, positive. Blending the two together. Did you have brothers or sisters?
So I have an older brother and a younger sister.
Okay. And you were constantly like the mediator between the two, right? Like
actually we're kind of all very much like I've always got on.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We've never really had like a oh my God kind of even growing up. Yeah.
Great. Has your family been able to see you do this sport and are they supportive of it?
Yeah, that is one thing that like I'm super grateful for is like my family absolutely love me doing this sport and have been so supportive with every decision I've made. And actually not last year, in 2019, my mum came with me to Puerto Rico to watch me compete, which was awesome. Yeah.
You're like, it was awesome. That's so cool. That's
yeah,
cool.
they love it.
You said that your dad used to bodybuild.
Yeah, way back before I was born.
Did he compete too, or was it more just the yeah?
Yeah, he used to compete, yeah.
That's so cool. That's
yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, it's in your blood. Let's see. What's your biggest gym pet peeve?
Oh God, I've got so many. Probably the biggest one will be if I'm in the middle of a set and someone will be trying to talk to me or like ask me something.
Oh no.
Like I'll be in the middle of like a press or like in the middle of a deadlift and they'll be trying to like that's probably like my biggest like just wait till after and they'll be asking something completely not related, like there'll be a plate or something about 200 meters away from me, they're like, are you using that? Just no, just because every set for me is so like mental, like I need to be in it to yeah. So that's probably my biggest pet peeve.
That's so tough. My a long time ago, when I first was at my gym, my gym shut down actually just before lockdown, like it literally shut down. But when I first was there, I had some clients that were there too, and I was telling my mom how they would come up to me and like talk to me while I was training, and she's like you just need to remind them, like, you know, like I can talk to you after I'm done.
Yeah.
She's like, because they, you know, you wouldn't like, she's like, you wouldn't interrupt a baseball player during practice.
Yeah.
Or
yeah.
Like you wait till
yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But it's so weird. It's hard to sometimes grasp how other people are thinking.
Yeah.
So nobody bother Rhea during a set.
When I'm stood there just like drinking my water and like and doing whatever, that's fine, but not in the middle of the exercise. Pretty please.
It's so funny. I couldn't imagine doing that. I know you're deadlifting, but we're using that.
Right?
No. Let's see. Heels or sneakers?
Sneakers all day, every day. Actually, Crocs all day, every day. Yes. Honestly, the only time I wear heels is on stage.
Was that a struggle for you, or is it a struggle for you?
Not so much, not as tough as I thought it would be, because when I was at uni and like have nights out, I'd always wear heels. Sometimes I'd go out in trainers, but it was just like making sure, like posing practice, I'd always like have them on and get used to them. And then I went from like no platform to now I'm like, give me all the platform, give me the platform, give me the sparkles, let's do this.
That's really great. I know that it's tough for a lot of people. What would you say, you know, what kind of advice would you give to women who are trying to, you know, navigate the heels for either bikini or figure, or wellness now has also?
Yeah, so I would just say, like, especially when you first get them, just wear them around the house. If you're meal prepping, have your heels on. If you're just wandering around, have your heels on, because the more time you spend in them, the more comfortable you're going to be in them. And especially if posing practice as well, always wear your heels, because it's such a completely different feeling.
Yeah, I would have to say they have to be an extension of your foot, of your leg.
Right.
You know, glue them on.
Get them on there.
Would you say that, would you agree that it's a little bit easier when there's a bit of a platform?
100%.
Yeah.
I even found, like, even walking, the way that I would move, having a bit of a platform would be so much better, because I'd feel like my foot was more at a normal angle.
Elevated.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you're on the balls of your feet on your toes. Yeah. That's I see a lot of you see a lot of those mistakes at the local level, you know, or like just people, you're like, oh, you've never walked in shoes before. Before show day. So, looks like I lost you for a second. You there?
There we go. Yeah, my Wi-Fi was flicking in and out.
We're in the middle of I think there's a storm coming, so it might be a little bit sketchy.
Yeah.
Anyways, I was saying that sometimes at the shows you see like people, it's like it just sucks because they work so hard and then they've never practiced walking in the shoes.
Right. I honestly, that's why I always say, like, especially if I say especially so much, especially if you're not like used to wearing heels, practicing them is so important, because you don't want to putting all of that graft on your body to then get on stage and just look uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Because then everything just kind of looks off.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's tough too, because when the people, when the athletes are uncomfortable, then it makes the audience uncomfortable.
Right.
And you get
it
this
kind of radiates everywhere, and it's like, oh, are you okay?
This vibe. I don't like this.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's really good. I think that's really good advice. All right. So your favorite to straight, we already talked about that. You back and legs. So you don't do, for a push session, is it mostly shoulder dominant? Is that kind of what you?
So yeah, with my push sessions, we'll be looking at delts, chest, and tries.
Yeah.
Just to really kind of build that top line.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. But not your favorite.
Yeah, it used to be, but at the minute I just love back and love legs.
Yeah. Nice. What does like we'll move on. I'm not gonna steal all of your training. They know where they can find it. So what motivates you?
What motivates me? I actually love this question. What motivates me is more a internal kind of feeling of the desire to be better than I was yesterday.
Yeah.
And like, not, especially sort of with my gymnastics and diving and how kind of that worked out, and then finding this sport, like my motivation is just to really be the best I can be and just push to see where I could take this.
Yeah. Very cool. Do you think that you will always train?
100%. 100%. And I always say, whether there's a stage there or there isn't, my day-to-day will always be the same. This stage is just like an icing on the cake to show off the hard work that you've put in. But if there wasn't a stage there, I'd still be doing the same thing.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. I think it's just a sign of being in it for the right reasons. You have a passion. Yeah. Very cool. Well, the last question is, who would you like to see interviewed on the podcast?
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This is really hard. Oh my goodness.
What?
There's so many.
Oh, well, that's awesome. Give me a list. And then when you are on the Olympia stage, you can start handing out my card and be like,
yeah, here we go. Here we go. Here we go.
Like, I got you hooked up on a podcast.
Yeah. I'd probably say Sydney.
Yeah.
Because she just from like competing to like her education, like she just excels in everything, and it's so inspiring to see.
Yeah. And
just how like she's just insane, absolutely insane. Everything
Sydney touches turns to gold. She just is a winner.
Yeah.
Very cool. All right. Well, that's really great. Thank you for that. So have you trained today? Are you already done?
Rest day today.
Perfect.
Rest day. I'm like, oh my goodness.
Do you have like an amount of steps, or are you doing cardio on your rest days still?
Yeah, so my steps are at 10,000. And I have like split cardio on a rest day, 45 in the morning and 20 in the afternoon.
Okay. Awesome.
So yeah.
Well, Rhea, this was really a pleasure. Thank you so much for taking the time.
Thank you for having me. I've literally had the best time.
Awesome. Well, I think you're so sweet. And yeah, I knew this was going to be good, and it was.
Thank you.
Just a beautiful person, and we wish you all the best in 8 days.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, and this will post on Monday, so I will tag you and everything else, and we'll all be rooting. So
thank you so much.
Yeah. So you can find Rhea on Instagram, as she said before. And you can find me on Instagram as well at BuffCake22. You can follow the podcast at Women's Maximum Fitness. And this is just a reminder that healthy looks different on everybody. Have a great day.